Okay, what's going on, everyone? And yeah, just received this in the mail this evening. And this is the Mighty Number 9 Signature Edition for the PS4, kind of a little limited edition set with a 6.5-inch back figure. Believe it includes an art book and several other little extras, and I'll eventually kind of crack into it and show you the contents, but I don't know. I suppose first and foremost, I'd like to talk about, I suppose, everything that has transpired over the long 3-year journey of this game's development, ultimately leading up to its release this week. Quite a long, drawn-out process, and I'll choose my words, at least I'll attempt to choose them a little bit carefully here, because I do realize that many people are quite upset with everything that's gone on. Now, I'll preface this by saying, me, myself, personally, I'm not really at all actually bothered by anything that's transpired, but I wasn't a Kickstarter backer, and I haven't really followed the project too closely. Several other reasons as well why I'm not really bothered. So I'm kind of going into this objectively quite excited about trying out the game, and yeah, hopefully enjoying it. But yeah, that being said, I definitely can understand the viewpoints of those who are quite upset. Talking about Mighty Number 9 these days really does elicit some quite strong and vitriolic reactions and opinions. So if you fall into that camp, you're completely justified as well. I'm not saying that I'm right and you're wrong, but yeah, I guess, well, let's go back down memory lane here, the history of the development of this thing. 3 years ago they released, Keiji Inafune was seen in the Kickstarter trailer, and it was quite a nice production. I quite enjoyed that, and got me, I'd say a little bit excited about this game. I was a big Rockman fan back in the day. And yeah, I think a lot of people were much more excited than me, even because they donated a lot of money towards the project. I think the final toll was, what was it? $4 million or something that the project amassed. So that's quite a bit. So you can understand that expectations were really high, and there've just been numerous delays over the past 3 years. Early screenshots and videos that they showed, and different gameplay mechanics that were promised. Like I said, I haven't played this, but from what you hear, a lot of those were taken out, and visually, it ultimately ended up looking nothing like what they had initially kind of, displayed for the fans to see. Now, I'm not really bothered by that at all, simply kind of due to the fact by the videos I have seen of the final product, I quite like the graphics. I'd have to say they really kind of remind me of early 31 kilohertz, high-res arcade game polygonal type of stuff, quite reminiscent of something that you would have seen on the Sega Naomi hardware back in the day. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to checking it out, and it looks pretty nice to me. But yeah, for maybe those who didn't grow up in that era, the early high-res polygonal stuff, maybe they were expecting it to look a little bit more in tune with the 3D graphics of today. So if you backed money and you on this project and you wanted it to look a certain way, it ended up not doing that. I can understand that. Also, let's see, another a huge kind of PR fiasco was the Dina Karam kind of scenario where, from what I know about her, she just kind of strikes me as like a faux SJW kind of ultra, feminist type figure who really wasn't all that concerned with video games or knowledgeable about them at all, and just kind of via nepotism kind of fell into the role of, I believe, community manager of this project at Concept USA. And that's fine, she has the right to believe what she wants to. And but I think people were a bit upset when she took to Twitter and started saying things like, well, I'm not just the community manager, I'm also an artist and a designer working on the project, and I'd like to see gender equality in video games, and I'm going to work towards actually having the main character replaced with a female lead character. So then I think people were a little bit bothered by that, and just the fact that she said that she didn't play any of the Mega Man games, didn't seem to be a gamer at all, and it really kind of stunk of her just kind of using this position that she had just kind of fallen into to kind of disseminate her feminist views across the board, gain notoriety that way, just kind of, I don't know, use it as a platform, a kind of reprehensible thing to do. Not really too enthusiastic about what she was working on at all. Just using that as a cover to really preach her beliefs, and using this as a large, I guess, international soapbox. So I think people could see right through her, and you can really understand why they would be upset by that. Me personally, I wouldn't want someone like that to have an important role developing, working on a game that I was excited about. So there was that, and when people responded to her, I believe she blocked them on Twitter, and she was actually banning people from the Mighty Number 9 message boards. And I mean, bear in mind, these are people who invested a lot of their own money in this project, and so to be treated like that, I'm sure they were not too thrilled at all. So again, I can definitely understand if people were upset by that. Oh, and another thing I kind of forgot to mention was that the fans were just so utterly vociferous in their displeasure with her role at Concept and all the, I don't know, kind of shady things she seemed to be involved in. Just notoriety, making a name for herself. Probably trying to make a buck off of that. Everybody was just so angered by that they voiced their opinion so loudly that she was ultimately kind of forced to resign. And Concept USA, no backbone at all. They didn't come out and say with a release, oh well, we're sorry, we apologize about this, we're firing her, we understand she's mistreating the backers who pledged money towards this project. She's just a shady character, she's fired. No, nothing like that, not at all. She just came out and kind of said that she herself, on her own will, like her own volition, just decided to step down from the project. So I think people were like, come on, Concept. It was really kind of dishonest for them to not kind of take the blame and fall on their sword, but just kind of tiptoe around the issue. So that was kind of a shitty thing to do. And then what the I guess the publisher internationally, well, here in the States, I'm not sure if in Europe as well, but what was it, Deep Silver? And this one, the kind of trailer that they released was like the ultimate PR suicide, kind of like the final nail in the coffin for this, because that one, I don't think they ever could have assumed that people would be so up in arms about it. And yeah, but that one really generated so much negative feedback. And if you saw the video, there was the line about anime fans crying on prom night, or I'm not exactly sure what it was, but a lot of people were very offended by that. Now, me personally, I'm not really, I don't watch anime or anything. I did watch back in the day, like the popular ones like Gundam, Dragon Ball, Macross. I even liked Evangelion a little bit later, but actually for Dragon Ball, Gundam, all that stuff, I'm much more, I don't really watch the shows, so I don't know much about them, but I have really enjoyed the games. Like, I love the Gundam games on the Sega Naomi and the Namco 246 hardware. They're awesome games. But, it just seems quite silly for the publisher to release something that's kind of derogatory, I suppose, towards what they would have had to have assumed would be kind of their target demographic. I don't understand why they would really want to insult the people that are probably going to be in large part going out and purchasing their game. So that was, you know, like I said, for me personally, you know, I'm in my 30s, my mid 30s now. I'm married, so anime fans, and I don't watch anime. Anime fans, prom night, and these are things that don't concern me at all. Maybe I'm an old fogey or whatever, but I suppose, you know, a younger crowd who are into those type of things, maybe you know, they kind of took it as a slap in the face. So like I said, it doesn't bother me at all. It's just a harmless little joke. I think they were just trying to be funny, make kind of like a cheesy 90s style commercial. But yeah, it pissed a lot of people off, and so I just, there's a disconnect. I don't really understand their thinking behind doing that. Yeah, it probably was not the smartest idea of all time. Let's just go ahead and say that. And I mean, even I guess, you know, Concept Japan and what is the company, NT Create, kind of co-developed this game, and what's the CEO of NT Create, Takuya Aizu, even came out, and yeah, he just kind of lambasted the whole thing. He said, "Kono PV wa nananda yo?" Just like, what is this trailer? Mr. Aizu actually went on to refer to the trailer in another tweet as hidoina, which yeah, just means terrible or awful. So yeah, he was quite emphatic in voicing his displeasure with the way that that trailer was kind of handled. So, and then went on to say in English, like, this is crappy and unforgivable. So I really actually feel quite bad for those guys in Japan, at NT and Concept, Inafune as well. I mean, maybe they'll learn their lesson and keep tabs on what's going on in their international divisions, and kind of have to check over what publishers are doing and give the ultimate okay on things like that, because that trailer was like pretty much PR suicide situation for them. What else can I say? And I don't know. And then I guess we can talk about Inafune himself. A lot of people are really what they consider more of a businessman than a game developer, and I don't have any problem with that at all. I mean, that's quite wise. He's trying to kind of branch out with this, and I suppose develop like an animated series, a movie, comic book, all this stuff. Now, you know, the big complaint, I suppose, that you know, you could kind of direct the criticism towards him, that he kind of spread himself too thin. I mean, this was a major project, and all the delays building up. I mean, the pressure was building, and I mean, they were porting this thing, or developing it across, what, like 10, 11 different platforms, pretty much every handheld device, every console out there, Mac, Linux, Windows, Steam, you name it. So I think they kind of underestimated just the really just grand size of this and everything that it would take, and they really spread themselves too thinly, and ultimately weren't quite able to deliver on, in terms of the final product, what they had initially you know, promised to the fans. So I don't fault Inafune for being a businessman. I mean, you have to be in this industry. I mean, he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. And then I guess another kind of PR faux pas was the Red Ash, which I'm actually quite excited about. But it was it's kind of going to be like the Mega Man Legends successor. And you know, before this game, with all the bad PR, everything, all the delays, all the upset Kickstarter backers with this project, I mean, before this thing was even released, they released a Kickstarter for Red Ash, and yeah, as you might have guessed, it failed pretty horribly. So that was not really a wise decision on his part. They did ultimately get backing from, I believe, a Chinese publisher. I'm not sure of the name. It escapes me, evades my mind at the moment. But so that game actually is going to be made, and I'm quite excited about that as well. But yeah, just the amalgamation of all the things we mentioned here really just rubbed people the wrong way. And like I said, none of these things really bothered me at all. I mean, because they just didn't, like the anime fan prom night doesn't pertain to my state in life or anything like that. It's not something I watched, so I wasn't offended by it. And I didn't follow the project really closely, so I wasn't, waiting. You know, I was interested, but not, eagerly anticipating, oh, what's going to happen each day. So for all those people who were, and then the Dina Karam saga, which anyone can see that whole thing was pretty silly. All these things, the kind of amalgamation of all these factors together. Yeah, the game is not getting good reviews so far. I believe also it was bricking people's Wii U systems. So it was this game, man. I really actually feel bad for Inafune and kind of consider him a sympathetic figure right now. It's just nothing could really go right, and I think they'll have to keep tabs on what their international divisions are doing a bit more closely in the future, not spread themselves so thinly. Try to maybe deliver more on the promises, or don't make such grand ones in the first place. And I don't know. I wish I'm a supporter of the guy, and I wish him nothing but the best. And to his credit, in a live stream the other day, he even came out and assumed all the blame. And there's a lot of factors here that he had nothing to do with, which kind of, I think, doomed this. But stand-up guy that he is, he came out and said, if this game, if you don't enjoy it, I take full responsibility as the head of this project for everything. So give the man credit there for that. I think a lot of kind of harsh words are kind of being directed his way, perhaps unjustifiably so. I don't know. In my mind, at least, I kind of feel bad for him right now, and I don't know. I hope the sales are at least somewhat decent. I think a lot of the reviews, people who were so upset about all the things we've just gone over, they couldn't really go into this objectively and just kind of play it for the game it is and see if they're going to enjoy it. So me personally, going into it with a clear, open mind, not upset by anything that's transpired. If it's a good game, I'll tell you. If it's a bad one, I'll tell you as well. I think I'm going to enjoy it because I'm not really clouded with rage by everything that's happened, because it's just, none of it bothered me at all. But that being said, I'm not dismissing any anger or negative feelings that those who were kind of hurt by what went on may have. You're completely justified in feeling that way if you do. So I don't know, just I guess for sort of archival purposes on my channel, just wanted to talk about this because I think it is a pretty big historical event. Just the success of Kickstarter and this retro style game, just you can see this flood of support, people really wanting this, quite a revolutionary thing, and I just really hope that all the unfortunate circumstances that have gone down and the bad PR haven't kind of doomed Kickstarter, because I think it's a great thing, and it can kind of continue to give us, working with developers here, a lot of things that we might not be able to get from these big companies producing these, this god-awful AAA garbage, Call of Duty, the same old Madden, FIFA Soccer, the same old boring shit. So, yeah, that being said, I'm going into this with an open mind, and I'm hoping it does well, and hoping I enjoy it. So, yeah, I guess that is all I had to say on the subject.